Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining us on Joyasonyelive here on Kaftan television. Today we shall be revisiting the federal government's natural gas policy. Past President Muhammad Buhari had in March 2021 declared January 1st 2021 to December 31st 2030 as Nigeria's decade of gas, a period the government aspires to accelerate gas production and use some of it to tackle energy poverty, industrialize the country, and create jobs. It was also announced that Nigerians can switch from petrol to compressed natural gas as an alternative energy source because it is cheaper. With the removal of fuel subsidy and the attendant economic challenges on micro, small and medium enterprises, gas, can it really rescue Nigerians? That's what we'll be discussing on today's edition of Joyasonyelive. And for some of you who follow the program every Friday is the Buy Naija hour. And that's what we are doing today. And of course, Apostle William Iheanacho Otabil, chairman Buy Naija project, is right here to do justice to this topic today. Thank you so much for being part of the program.
Good evening, Nigerians. Good evening, all the micro, small, medium, small and medium enterprise people, and the government, and all the stakeholders. So it's like I always say, it's a privilege to be able to talk about Nigerian issues, especially from the perspective of made in Nigeria, which we always say is the backbone of the economic emancipation of Nigeria.
You often want me to remember your name is William and not Williams. I don't know why Williams keeps coming to my head. Would you for any reason change it for my sake?
No, I cannot change it because I also have the problem in the bank. I will fill a form for William, they go and put an S.
An S.
And they don't know that William is first name, Williams is surname.
Right.
Those are things we inherited from the colonial history.
Okay, Apostle William Iheanacho Otabil, I will try not to make the mistake as you would not deem it fit to change it for my sake. But at this point, we'll go for a short break and return. Promises to be very interesting, so stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Like I said earlier, revisiting the federal government's natural gas policy. Can gas come to the rescue for MSMEs? That's the question, and I'll just put it straight to my guest, Apostle William Iheanacho Otabil.
Yes, I want to say today, first of all, that Nigeria is a gas country that has crude oil reserves. We have more gas than crude oil. We have more future in gas, natural gas, than in crude oil. But for some reason, this dysfunctionality came in and the emphasis on crude oil came in with all the myriad of problems. Everybody wants the crude oil. There is refining issues. But the natural gas, it has very little processing and humongous advantages for development, job creation, industrialization, and the allied advantages. Nigeria presently, as calculated, has a reserve of about 209 trillion cubic feet reserve, yes, of which Russia is on top of the food chain. Russia has about 1.6 million trillion cubic
feet.
Yes, reserve.
Reserve, right.
Nigeria is about the 9th. That's huge.
But that's huge.
big, humongous, and from extraction to use processing is very low. What I mean is, like, you know that if you extract crude oil, the extraction process, the drilling, production, storage, transportation, refining process is plenty. But for gas, it's smaller. Nigeria exports liquefied natural gas, liquefied petroleum gas, and all the rest. Then you have the CNG, the compressed natural gas. The gas is compressed. For LNG is liquefied.
Right.
Good. We know all those things. The CNG is the quickest transition to rescue Nigerian micro, small, and medium entrepreneurs in the areas where we will have maximum and optimized advantage. Now the MSMEs, their challenges are in the areas of, one, transportation. They have to leave their homes or they have to move around. Then they have to run their equipment.
Of course, they need energy.
They need energy. Then they need to also power their own vehicles to move around, power their homes, and their power sources for processing. For those who are doing fertilizer, for those who are doing feedstock, feed for their processes, cooling, chilling, and all manner of processes. Now, we have looked into it previously in our concept of shared facilities, industrial clusters. I know that even at the old prices of petrol, that was the best way to go. The best way to go was to employ CNG solution to, as opposed to petrol, diesel, kerosene, and all the rest of those people. Now, why do you have the so-called subsidy? Because you need to take your crude to white man's land. No, let's put it as it is.
Right, white man's land.
To the white man's land, process it, transport it back, put it in a storage facility. Then
not to mention everything has insurance.
Yeah, insurance.
That is also costing.
The insurance is a major module. Then you now say the difference between the pump price, which is there, and the whole value, that there is a gap. So you have to pay what you now call the subsidy on
this refined product.
Yes. Of course, you are not refining because all the refining facilities are crippled. Whether they are inflicted crippling or a man that is feigning
or natural factors.
Well, that is not our concern.
At this moment, it is not. If I know you well, I know you will still touch on it, but go ahead.
I'll touch on it, but then let's stay on the key issues.
Right.
Because like I always say, I'm a solutions template provider. I am not an activist. I am not a critic. Let the people who have the job to do that, let them do that. My own and Pofari solution, and we have the capability to help people who want to solve the people's problem, especially micro, small and medium enterprise. That's my mandate within the context of the Buy Naija mandate. I don't let the other people do their job. Now, having said that, CNG for transportation, Innocent is doing a great job in that regard.
Okay.
He has designed vehicles and launched that are using CNG as energy source. I don't know about other people, but at least I know Innocent's own.
Exactly.
Of which he's one of our partners in Buy Naija for over 10 years. So I can speak with that in confidence. I can't speak of what I don't know. But let me say it straight away. Based on the fact that gas, we have more gas than crude oil, both in terms of revenue, advantage, job creation, wealth creation, industrialization, which is captured in the 2021 launched
decade of gas by the past administration. It's only wise now that we need to reawaken those facts, those realities that have been always been there, but because of the exigencies and the what language do I want to use now? Have to be careful here. And the peculiarity. I've never known you to be careful when addressing the ills like this, because for some of us, when we saw the fanfare, I was telling you before we came on air that I reported really extensively the whole event that went around the decade of gas, Train 7. I mean, it was huge, and it had a beautiful concept. We saw the future in our hands, and we're excited about that. In spite of all of that fanfare, we did not see any infrastructure around achieving this goal, this 2030, 31st of December 2030 goal. We did not see the many benefits Nigerians were supposed to start benefiting really from the announcement and that rollout. The infrastructure I wanted to see was plants, conversion plants that would ensure you can see Nigerians get their vehicles there and convert it. We could see generators that will be run by this CNG. And I'm seeing local, or rather, I'm not sure if to call them local, but small innovators do things around having generators converted. I don't know how safe that is in itself. So while you are being very careful not to mention, to hit it as it is, what would you say about the infrastructure that would help us implement the gas policy?
Now, you have accelerated the process, let me say it.
Oh, okay.
Because it's a part of the thing, because as far back as 2006-07, when we designed the shared facilities clusters as a back end for Buy Naija for production in a cooperative manner.
Right.
Gas was the nexus of our power supply, not diesel. Gas, CNG. So the shared facilities concept rests upon CNG. If you remember, in some of our segments in this show, in this program, the Buy Naija Hour, I've always mentioned CNG, the compressed natural gas, to power the central shared facility power points. Instead of having all these little generators, I better pass my neighbor, all those concepts of where everybody is to himself and God for everybody else and all the rest that have been happening. We have designed that. We have a comprehensive plan. Now that we are now forced to look further inwards, energy-wise. Now, you are not able to see any active implementation after the launch of that project in 2021 because there is a peculiarity in this country. Those who have the ideas are forgotten, and they do show, and a lot of people take credit. They don't have the back end to implement. Even as we speak now, if government is to implement, if the faith-based initiatives are to implement.
Okay, here we go again. Faith-based initiatives.
No. They are organizations.
Right.
They are stakeholders in this whole arithmetic. We are talking about local government. We're talking about state government now. Because when I give the analysis of how government can help to cushion and to reduce the effect of removal of the subsidy, as it were, and to make life easier for Nigerians, both micro, small, and medium entrepreneurs, civil servants, the ordinary market woman who has to take transport, the people in the urban centers like Lagos who have to leave their house by 4 a.m. and come back by 12 midnight.
Okay, exactly.
Those who take all the helicabs, those who take all manner of transportation to go about their normal business. I'm going to mention the solution that is quick win, effective, efficient, and cost effective. Because these are real things we are talking about now.
Exactly.
Government needs help. Nigerians need help. The micro, small, and medium enterprise people need help. I need help. My workers have to come to work. How did they get there? So, but the problem we have is that there are so many people who don't know anything, but they are in a position, they will occupy the space and wreck the system, and you just refer to one remote government. No. Those clogs have to be removed. Those people, as you have removed subsidy, let's remove those people and their relevance. There are many people who are well positioned, but they don't have any solution.
People in government? Or
all across
sector?
Yeah, private sector too.
Do you think that that sector is open enough for the private sector to come in? Because
That's
when we
right.
see this infrastructural deficit, the question is, okay, if government cannot do it all, the government has given you the enabling environment, there is a policy that now guides,
Okay, now
can the private sector come in?
We are practical. We are people who 247 we are thinking of solutions. That's
the Buy Naija initiative.
Yes, because you can't do Buy Naija by jingles only. What are the things that affect the value chains, the supply chains? All around, what are the things that affect it? Okay, let me tell you something about the private sector you mentioned.
Right.
The solution we have will require that corporate entities set up infrastructure that gives the LNG and the CNG infrastructure delivery, that their workers will have to be able to retrofit their cars to gas, which is cheaper.
Where do you do that? Where can you do this?
No, there will be retrofitting centers with our partners. We have it figured out. I'll give you one example.
Across the nation.
That's across the nation. Innocent is there. We have others. Because Innocent has rolled out, I can mention his name.
Well, affordable?
I said they are price affordable. They are efficient.
Because
they are quick.
Right.
Quick delivery.
The last statistics I saw, it would cost 50,000 naira to do this conversion when it was.
That is where government comes in. Rather than give a funny subsidy of money that goes out of Nigeria, we can create enabling environment for these micro ecosystems. Apart from the corporate entities, you have the local governments who can set up a facility.
Okay.
You have the state government in every state secretariat that can set up the entity, not only for workers, but access to the public. It's not rocket science. Then the federal entities, the federal ministries, departments, and agencies, you will pay for the gas, just like you buy gas for your heating and cooking at home. But the humongous infrastructure, a capital layout, will be borne by the organizations. At the beginning of this series, don't forget, I picked an area that people are not looking at, the faith-based initiatives. What stops the faith-based initiatives from having infrastructure set up? You can take your fuel supply for the week, your generator supplies for the week, from your church, your mosque, your association, your union, that has the capital capacity to set the infrastructure up. All these things coming down to infrastructure. So the conversion can be worked out, that it can be spread over time to retrofit your cars. It has processes. The important thing is to think about it and to have the competencies, and it exists. If you don't, you can't. Call Buy Naija will tell you what your eyes cannot see, will open your eyes to see.
Somebody who having watched the Buy Naija once mentioned as a comment, I'd like to pose that question to you, that when faith-based organizations establish universities or bring interventions into schools or businesses, very often even members are unable to patronize them because it becomes so exorbitant. And you keep mentioning the faith-based as a tool for some sort of intervention from that regard. How would you ensure that when they do have this, let's say the conversion plant, hypothetically speaking, for instance, we have the conversion plant by a faith-based organization, is it going to even help the church members or mosque members?
We are moving to a place where once the people understand that the faith-based organizations are not infallible.
Are they not? Because we are very strong on our beliefs.
No, don't. Nigerians are getting some sense now.
Oh.
You will place a demand on the place you are committed to. Do you understand me? And you are not the only one. It becomes competitive. And that's what I'm telling you. Let all stakeholders be involved in this service delivery. If you go to some societies, though it might not be quite prevalent, you will discover that people who have numbers and who have capital, who have resources, have always provided resources. Now, let me give you an example in history. Do you know education was not the business of government, even under colonialism? Education was not the business of the British colony. The first grammar school in Nigeria was faith-based. The second were faith-based. The third were faith-based. Journalism came from faith-based organizations. Do you understand?
Right.
That when some people complained that Christians were having advantage in education, they told them that no, they don't fund it. So the Muslims now realized and started their own. And everybody was happy ever after. So what I'm saying is not even outside what has happened in history. This solution, if you are expecting government to do something, it will not. The only thing we can now tell the federal government is in all federal ministries, departments, and agencies, let emergency budgets be raised to put up those infrastructure and they can be delivered in 3 months. If they don't know how to do it, design, implementation, and operational, they talk to us. We bring in our partners. We'll deliver it.
Nationwide.
Nationwide. And involve so many other people with competencies. We'll help government to do it. Ask the question. Who deliver it? Stop all this contracting and things. It cannot be. No! Forget about those people.
Which people? I'm not sure.
The people who have contributed to our development paradigm, and we got ourselves to this level.
Who are these people?
They are your fellow Nigerians.
Right.
How can I be? Am I their member?
I wouldn't know. But I wouldn't know.
You know, by their fruits you shall know them. They got us to this level. So let us give chance to people who can bring solution so that they can benefit from it and their children. There should not be bottlenecks. We didn't get here. We got here by plenty grammar. I have a PhD in this. I'm a professor in this. I got this in this. I just come back from America. My brother is this. I am from this tribe. What we are saying is for we to move forward, and this time is beyond. Buy Naija involves everybody, because the man who is a civil servant is rendering a made in Nigeria service in the public service. It's Buy Naija. The policeman who is delivering quality service is a Buy Naija hero. The doctor who is delivering a top level service in the midst of all this, there's no fuel, there's no food, there's no light. It's a top Buy Naija hero. That's what I'm telling people. So Buy Naija is interested in the holistic welfare of the entire country without being political. So some people are saying, no, you don't need to be political to deliver honest, efficient, effective goods and services to the people of Nigeria. That is what will lead to inclusive, effective, and efficient growth and development. That's all we are saying. So with this removal of fuel subsidy, I'm not interested in the argument of
whether it should have gone,
whether it would have gone or not. Okay, for me, it's an advantage. Let's go the gas way, of which government itself at the federal level have designed an implementation process, have a strategy. It's on paper. Okay, let's take the nexus from there. And the realities, what are the facts? 209 trillion cubic feet reserve, but terrible production per day, which is I think 8 or 9 billion or whatever. Very minimal. And nobody is looking in that direction. Now let's look inward, because part of our mantra in Buy Naija is to look inwards. Let's look inwards. How do we solve this problem? Because if we have discovered in this day of removal, in quote, of subsidy, statistics now shows that the days of subsidy, 69 is it million or billion
in liters
per day, million liters. Now it's 30.
I don't know where you got the statistics.
No, it's in the papers. It's on TV.
Well, this same government officials had been unable to give us a proper statistics as to how it is.
What is in the public space?
Right.
You know me, I will not speak. I say now, if that is the case, it will even help them solve the gap. Let's go
the gas
way.
Okay, we're still talking gas. Unfortunately, we have gone half hour into the Buy Naija. We'll go for a short break. We still have so much to discuss. We'll be right back. We've been concentrating on logistics. Now we will move it into businesses. How can gas actually help businesses? We'll be right back after this short break. This is still Joyasonyelive, and today on the program we are revisiting the federal government's natural gas plan and how it can help businesses, especially the micro, small and medium enterprises, as fuel subsidy has been removed. And as you know, it is the Buy Naija here on Joyasonyelive, and we have Apostle William Otabil, who has been calibrating this whole, it seems like a maze, and he's trying to get us to understand exactly where we can fix what. But we've been discussing how the gas can help with the transportation industry. But let's talk about the energy that small businesses especially need to power their enterprises. That's where we've moved the conversation to. Apostle Otabil.
Yes, thank you very much, Joy. I want to start with the issue of the micro, small and medium enterprises in this segment of the program, as you now emphasized. First, or most importantly, Innocent has pioneered production of vehicles. It's a made in Nigeria medium going to a large enterprise in the auto industry. Innocent vehicles, I think 2 days ago or 3 days ago, some days when they launched the trucks, vehicles, general vehicles, trucks, cars that use CNG and LNG. Most times they use the LNG for long distance trucks, heavy equipment, and long distance transportation. But for the micro, small, and a lot of medium enterprises, you need a CNG. They can bring a module, drop it, take that module out, or you just refill, depending on the mode they take. And suddenly everybody just realized that that is the way to go. Now, let me talk about that. I will remember in time past, especially in the past 2 years, made in Nigeria vehicles were not purchased by the Nigerian legislature, the Senate and the House of Rep.
Are they being purchased now?
Wait, I'm approaching there. They have not. What I'm saying is that
in the past they weren't, but maybe now they are beginning to see the.
Now they will have to.
Okay.
We will encourage them to.
How would you do that? Because these are people with fancy or international taste.
If they don't do it, then some other people will do strategic arm twisting technology, because we are stuck.
Arm twisting technology.
Because there's no money.
Right.
So where are you going to get the money from?
How how are they going to afford made in Nigerian vehicles, for instance?
You see, you have money, but you want to export it. If you channel it inwards, there are advantages that show benefits immediately. The number of vehicles the Senate and the House of Rep bought, somebody I know told me, how can he squeeze himself into Innocent G80 vehicle? He now mentioned all the foreign vehicles he uses, the foreign furniture he uses. And I looked at I felt I was in tears, technically. So what I'm saying is that to benefit the made in Nigeria reality, there must be a deliberate and strategic policy and implementation of same. Like the executive order 003 given by the past administration, that 40% of procurement must be made in Nigeria. But there was no monitoring, evaluation, reporting, enforcement. It didn't happen. It was within the context of the existence of that executive order 003, of which we have the template for monitoring, evaluation, reporting, and enforcement, that they did it. So this time, buy made in Nigeria CNG 1. It helps the whole value chain and supply chain of the automotive industry. 2, they will set up the infrastructure not only for retrofitting, but to supply the CNG at the National Assembly, at the 36 state assemblies, and the 774 local government areas.
In Nigeria?
Yes, and there will be training, jobs are created. Another little industries that produce the small things, the cables, the kits and everything, it will expand the economy. In fact, I cannot calculate the humongous multiplier effect. And we have the template to help them implement it. No money goes out, very little. So that way, the effect on the micro, small, and medium enterprises will be too much, will be plenty. You cannot set up that facility. There will be restaurants there. There will be suppliers of what they need to run that module. There will be so many subsectors and industries that will come with that resolve to implement these things. I'm still talking about buying made in Nigeria vehicles running on LNG or
CNG.
And CNG
That's
and
natural
LNG.
gas.
No, LNG for big things, for big, very large generators. But all of them use gas, all are gas. Do you understand? So, and we have more gas than crude oil. So those who still have their petrol thing, diesel thing, go and do it. Nobody will tell you that it is better to run solar and CNG powered, environmental friendly.
Exactly.
Yes.
Their meat's cleaner.
That is really cleaner. And there is gains.
It's cheaper. 30% less than what you would consume.
There are some benefits from carbon footprint economics. You
mean for the ecosystem?
Yes. At United Nations level, carbon footprint thing to encourage green energy, money dey there.
Oh, really?
Make I speak pidgin. Money dey there. No, because some people go, when they hear money dey there, hey, what did the guy talk? Let's go there. We have to communicate with our people. So what I'm saying is, starting with this salvo that Innocent has fired, the multiplier effect is heavy. Then the other auto industries will adjust. It's not rocket science. All the auto manufacturers will key in. They burn petrol, sure, according to worry people. You have to adjust. Oh, now it's the same oil and gas industry.
Exactly.
And it's very expensive to set up all the other infrastructure for all these things. Then the existing infrastructure of petrol stations, you call them petrol stations, they will change away from petrol stations.
To gas.
They will now be energy stations.
Energy stations. You get petrol, you get gas.
Plus solar. Solar panels, batteries.
Exactly.
So we can bring in electric cars, of which Innocent
has started.
It has started.
One of these days we'll talk about electric cars and Nigeria's plan as
that
well.
In our flow. The plans are there. Who told you that people like us are not already talking to Tesla to bring in plants here? Made in Nigeria plants. What are we talking?
Why does it have to be Elon Musk? Why are
I'm just talking.
Right.
You start with licensing from people who have developed a technology. You don't go and thief their technology. They'll give you license. Then I can put cars, automobile. Do you understand? I don't have to be Tesla. Automobile is a licensee of Tesla. You start from somewhere. I don't have the technology. Our ecosystem doesn't have the technology. You enter, there must be an entry point.
Exactly.
I'm just saying.
Hypothetically speaking.
Yeah, but it will be made in Nigeria. Two things. Tesla can set up a plant here. One. Or we can take license from Tesla and build our own local brand. That's how it works. We are not going to reinvent the wheel. But if, by God's grace, we have divine revelation to have a new invention, we will still do it.
Like we have seen. We've seen really young men innovate very beautiful prototypes that have not been sponsored to go further.
Right, and they are right there. You only need to bring them together, create the right enabling environment, to create specific ecosystems, to bring them forth. But you see, like I said one time, and you queried me that the monies are in the wrong places and in the wrong hands.
Okay.
No, I will tell you,
right.
Because it is difficult to get startup capital. Nigerians want to invest in that which they already know. Real estate, they want to invest in something. They will go to foreign lands to buy estate, to send their children to school, and all manner of things. I told you a friend of mine who boasted with me that all his furniture in his office and in his house, they are from Turkey somewhere. They are just from several places across the earth. I was very proud of it. Another one told me that why would he be squeezing himself into one small vehicle that is made in Nigeria. He mentioned about some 4 brands that he has in his garage that are from abroad. And all the money that we are talking about in Nigeria is in his hand and his colleagues. Don't let me go. But once I talk now, you know, I'm referring to him. And but the point, that is the truth of the matter. And that is what has kept us in this position that we found ourselves with this type of disposition.
Okay, yes. Apostle Otabio.
Yes.
Now this is it. Fuel subsidy has been removed. It threatens the MSMEs. That's for sure. How can they stay afloat in all of this, and especially as these infrastructures that should make them turn towards gas is not in place?
There are 2 strategies. I was coming to it. Where it impacts them most is their power supply generators, their equipment that they use in processing runs on diesel or petrol. Kerosene has not been well perfected for that. Now, what I want to say that these people, there has to be a strategic conversion process. Since they are scattered across from Funtua to Port Harcourt, from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri, from Maiduguri to Sango-Ota. Everybody has his own machine. So if there is an integrated conversion process to CNG that is cheaper in the long run, they will not be educated to convert. Let's assume the automotive industry, the mass transit from government, whether by train or by buses,
runs on gas.
Run on gas, cost will drop. Ceteris paribus, all other things being equal. So that ceteris and paribus will shake hands. So they don't quarrel. So there has to be an integrated master plan for implementation to the lowest level. You get it now?
Exactly.
To convert from petrol to CNG, which is much, much cheaper. So there has to be an implementation plan. There has to be a roadmap. There has to be guardians. So state governments can help. Local governments will help. Federal government, through its ministry department and agencies, will help. One, in the conversion. Buy Naija will help them at an integrated, affordable, inclusive way. Because everybody does his own thing. Nobody thinks of inclusion. But we think inclusion in Buy Naija. And we have the wherewithal, the technical and intellectual capacity, and the relationships, and the media reach, including, but not limited to, this is our royal television station that is very committed under the Joyasonyelive program. We have that. And we have partners, we have Innocent, we have Proforce, we have so many technically competent people that we partner with to implement targeted objectives and ecosystems that will help the micro, small, and medium enterprises at different levels, at local government level.
Exactly.
If they want it at one level. And at this stage, I want to mention legislators, senators, House of Rep members. They can help in empowering their people in the area of conversion to implement the gas decade policy that is already exists.
Okay. So they should sponsor as constituency projects,
yes,
trainings.
That's right. Training to convert and the actual conversion cost. It can be defrayed so that the women frying gari in Ishaland or in Boji Boji Owa who are a cooperative, they don't need to stress themselves. They can help them do their conversion. Install the kit. If possible, establish the infrastructure for the fueling and the recharging. Do you understand?
Very well.
That is now targeted thing, and they will take the credit. And people like us will help them do a documentary of their achievement.
Of course, we'll be right here to do all of that. But I must thank you. You know, we've gone 1 hour already speaking about how the federal government can implement the gas plan to ensure Nigerians ameliorate the suffering that the fuel subsidy removal has cost. But thank you again for being part of the program. We've been discussing with Apostle William Iheanacho Otabil, Chairman Buy Naija project. Well, this is where we draw the curtains on Joyasonyelive, and the Buy Naija are here on the program this Friday. We'll be back next week with so much more. Do have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.
So